So now God is having a little chat with Adam, and he says, look, you can eat every tree of the garden except one. Of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you don't eat that, because in the day you eat, you'll surely die. So you might ask, well, why is the tree put there to begin with? And well, the answer to that is, who the hell knows? That's how the story portrays it. We don't know. And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So that's an echo of the idea of the power of the word, right? So even though these stories are from different traditions, they're separate traditions, you see at the beginning that God uses his word to bring order out of chaos, and then he allows Adam in some sense to do the same thing, is that there's this unarticulated plethora of being, and the man comes along and says, that's that, that's that, that's that, and that brings them into a higher order form of being. So it's a replication of the creation in a shrunken form. And Adam gave names to all the cattle. Cattle are just anything that has 4 legs, roughly speaking, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. And then there's an injunction. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Well, there's also there's a moral injunction there. And so the idea is that the two beings that have been created are actually not whole until they're one thing, right? And once they're joined together, that's supposed to be one thing. And that one thing is actually a more perfect entity than the two things that are apart. So, and that's actually part of the sacred basis of the idea of monogamous relationships in Western culture. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. A crucial piece of information. So what exactly does that mean? Well, the first question is, what does it mean to be naked? And so that's something that I thought about a lot in relation, and there's a relationship there with shame. So the first question is, what does it mean to be naked? And the second question is, what does it mean to be not ashamed of that? Well, I would say there's an implication of a kind of unconsciousness. So Adam and Eve exist in this paradisal state, but they don't have the capacity for self-reflection. There's no self-consciousness here. Well, why would I say that? Because there's very little difference between self-consciousness and shame. In fact, if you do psychometric analysis of the state of self-consciousness, it loads with neuroticism. So it loads with anxiety and emotional pain. So to become self-conscious, what does it mean to become self-conscious? It means you become aware. One way of thinking about it is you become aware of your vulnerability, or another is that you become aware of your insufficiency. Okay, so let's say that you're standing up in front of a crowd talking, and you become self-conscious. Well, what happens? Well, first of all, you can't talk anymore. The second is you kind of fall inside. And the third is you feel ashamed. And the fourth is that you retreat and you look down. So it's a low status operation, and it's associated with heightened anxiety. And so then you might say, well, why would you become self-conscious before a crowd? Well, the answer is they can see you, right? And they can judge you. And you can make an error in front of them, and you can make a fool of yourself. So they put you down, that you can display yourself in a manner that ratchets you down the dominance hierarchy. That's to become self-conscious. And so, well, at least you have the advantage of being covered up in front of the crowd. But let's say all of a sudden you're stripped of your clothes. So what's the problem with that? Well, all of your insufficiencies, let's say, are on painful display. You can be evaluated by everyone, but even more importantly than that, if possible, is that clothes actually protect the most vulnerable parts of you. Human beings are upright animals, right? We're very strange animals. You take a cat or a dog, they're basically armored. The part of them that you see, their back is heavily armored, heavily protected. Human beings stretched upright. And so the softest parts of us are there for display, but also we're displayed as sexual creatures too. And so to be naked and not ashamed of it is to lack self-consciousness. So the idea is that the Adam and Eve in the original state in the garden lacked self-consciousness.